Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and yet another episode of my F1 2018 career mode. Today we are here for episode 101. If you guys did miss the Centurion episode last time out for episode 100, then check that video out by clicking the card in the top right hand corner of your screen for the Russian Grand Prix. But today we are out here for the Japanese Grand Prix, one of my favourite ones on the calendar, probably my joint favourite with the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa. And as you can see, weather conditions wise, we have a chance of rain for the start of the race, which is going to be very interesting for strategy and also how we play out, in terms of the weekend, how it goes. Now, in terms of R&D this weekend, you can see here, once again, we have no upgrades on the car, but Sauber bring yet another upgrade and they extend their gap. They are just something else, man. Sauber just do not stop upgrading. However, that could bite them in the rear next season with the regulation change, because as we know, next season there is going to be an aero, chassis and engine reset. Now, I can tell you guys I'm going to do some investing this episode. As you can see in the top right of the corner, I've got 2,300 points, so we are going to be investing those points in this episode. Also, for this race, we're going back to a slightly more competitive power unit. We've gone from power unit number 1 to power unit number 2, and that should be a lot better for us and a lot more competitive, especially going into qualifying, which is what we're going to do right now, because obviously we used the old engine in Russia to try and make sure that we avoid engine penalties this season, and I reckon now, considering this is round 17, we should be okay now, because we've got some new fresh elements for the most important parts. So for example, the ICE, the turbocharger and the MGUH. We've actually got an extra component on engine number 3, which has been unused yet and hasn't been used. So therefore we are going to have that extra bit of power and fresh engine components if we do need them before the end of the season. I'm trying to also save my fresher engine parts for the final couple of races in case we need to really be at maximum competitiveness in case of a championship push. Now, as things stand coming into this race, as you guys know, if you have watched the last episode, we are currently 50 points clear. Therefore, there are 21 races in a season. We could win the race, or the championship, should I say, on episode 19, or should I say round 19, and we're currently around 17. So the target is simple this weekend. I want to try and keep that 2-race gap in the championship if possible. However, I do realise, and especially I've already noticed in practice around here, that AI are very powerful, and not so much the AI, more that just we don't have the car around here. Once again, it happened in Russia, we just didn't have the pace, and this is not one of those tracks where I'm going to have to really pull out the bag if I want to try and be anywhere near the sharp end. Now, I've got to say, in my first run here on the Super Softs in the background, I've never done such a perfect first sector before. I absolutely nailed every single one of these S's, and I was so happy. It was an incredible first sector, but then unfortunately, as we went into the Degner, straight away we cut the corner and that was invalidated, and I knew for the other 2 runs I was going to really struggle to really replicate that first sector. You can see here on my second run I did actually get pretty close, but then I ran wide and I got onto the gravel, but I still kept on with this lap. I was half second to 6/10 down, but I still pushed on with it because I wanted to get a representative lap time on the board. I actually set up purple middle sector, really decent second sector, and now towards the end of the lap, as you can see here, we've made up about 0.4 of a second, and it's overall pretty decent lap to be fair, and it's going to get us on the board, at least lap time wise, to see where we stand, and we do go P8 there with a 24.1. However, I knew there was a lot of time on the lap still. If we could get it all together perfectly, then I knew there was a lot of time to gain, and we're going to run aboard now for my best lap in the session, the final lap in the qualifying session. Let's see how this goes. Straight away, turns 1 and 2 come at you very quick. Turn 1 especially, you want to carry the speed in, and you want to really brake for turn 2. Turn 2 is all about keeping it nice and tight and let the car run out wide on the exit, and then through the S's, it's all about car control, momentum and flow. I missed my apex there through the right a little bit, and it loses me about 1/10 of a second on the delta, and then we do actually make up a little bit of time. Now going up through the Dunlop, through this long swooping left, we get a really good exit, and I make up some time also because that's where we made the mistake last time, so therefore we make up half a second. Now though, into the Degness, as you can see this time, no issues whatsoever through there. Car working pretty nicely indeed, but I reckon we've thrown away about 1/10.5 already through the first sector. As we now go down towards the hairpin, I actually get this absolutely perfect, using first gear to rotate the front end, and we get some smooth traction on exit, and overall a very decent middle sector so far. Now going into Spoon, this is where you can make or break your lap and make up a lot of time. Down a couple of gears for the first part, let the car run onto the curb, and then bring it back in for an apex at the second apex at Spoon, and then get the power as soon as possible, and we are over half a second up here, but it definitely could have been, I reckon, 7/10 at this point, there or thereabouts. And as you can see for sector 2, we're currently at 1/10.5 down, so we are in the money here, and we're at the races as we now go down towards the final chicane, down to third gear, and then a little lock up on the right front. We just turned in a little bit too late there for the first apex, because you want to really attack that inside curb, and then a little bit of a loose back end on the exit, and we do improve by half a second to 7th place, but ultimately It wasn't to be, and the AI, Leclerc especially, set some ridiculous time towards the end, and the Ferraris as well looking very strong, and the Renaults, and all in all, it was actually quite a way off. But I reckon P5 was possible if I'd got it together perfectly. If I'd done that first sector, like I did in the first run, it would have definitely been P5. But all in all, P8, not too bad. The car is where it's at the minute, to be honest with you, and I think the target for tomorrow is going to be maybe a top 6 finish, top 5 finish, but we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully we can turn it around in the race, and we've got that rain, so strategy could be interesting. But all in all, that was qualifying, and we're now going to move into the race for the Japanese Grand Prix.
And a very warm welcome to the Japanese Grand Prix, an event that has decided a Drivers' Championship 11 times over the years and has hosted some very memorable races as well. Who can forget Kimi Raikkonen's win from 17th on the grid in 2005, or Kamui Kobayashi's incredible drive to a podium in 2012. We're southwest of the city of Nagoya today at a wet and windy Suzuka circuit. 3.6 miles and 18 corners make up a lap here, with Sector 1 likely to prove especially difficult in these conditions. We should see overtaking into turns 1 and 16 today, and maybe a few Kobayashi-style dives into the hairpin as well. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Martinez. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Sainz, Nico Hülkenberg, and Hamilton, Ericsson, Martinez, Ricciardo, and Pierre Gasly, Perez, Hartley, Stoffel Van Dorn, and Grosjean, Ocon, Magnussen, Sergei Sirotkin, and Lance Stroll, Alonso, and Max Verstappen completes the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Right, here we are then for the grid for the Japanese Grand Prix, and we start from 8th place on row number 4 alongside Marcus Ericsson, and pretty much the task is simple. With these wet conditions, as predicted at the start of the episode, we want to try and go forward this race, and I reckon a P5 above top 5 finish, that's kind of the target, to be honest, and basically score at least double-figure points. In terms of the strategy, though, obviously because of the rain, it's kind of changed things a little bit. Now, we are going to start the intermediates. The crucial thing here is, fuel-wise, I've gone all the way down to 27 laps. I'm going to start the race on bang-on-target, neutral, zero fuel. So we're going to be not heavy or light. And then hopefully we should gain some fuel back in the wet conditions as we progress into dry weather. Now, we've got 2 icons in the wet, another 5 icons in the dry. So more or less, I reckon it could be possible to go straight onto a medium tyre maybe, and go to the end of the race potentially. It kind of depends when the track dries up. If it goes long enough to like lap 9, lap 10, then we should be able to put a soft tyre on and go to the end. If not, it's going to probably be a medium tyre, and I reckon that's going to be the best strategy option for us here today. We could go really aggressive with 2 super softs, but I'm going to try and obviously save the stops because we haven't really got the pace around here, and try and go with the inters straight onto the mediums. But with that being said, let's just jump into it here in Japan and let's see how it goes. It's one of my favourite tracks in the calendar, and I want to try and perform to the best of my abilities. With that being said, let's jump into it. It's time for round 17 for the Japanese Grand Prix. Right, here we go. Let's get ready for the 5 red lights here at Suzuka. The lights are on, and they are off. Long 5 lights, but we are underway. Decent start once again. We lose no places, which is decent progress. Down towards turn 1 now. I've got to be careful here. Very careful. Down the inside of Ericsson into turn 2. We just slipped through. He was getting distracted there by Lewis in front, causing a little bit of trouble. Now into the S's for the first time around the outside of my teammate, which will become the inside for the next corner. We're starting this race off on fire. Unlike Sochi last race, where he was going backwards, we lost 4 places on the first lap just because of raw pace. We've started this race off on fire here, and we've made our way up to P6. However, I've got a port run through there. That's going to put Lewis on the back of me. Back end just a little bit unsettled at the minute. Need to try and get some temperature into these intermediates, but we're P6. Very, very good start. We just picked them off one by one, made our moves tactically. Oof, losing the back end a little bit there into the hairpin, got to be careful. A little bit scruffy, but so far it's been a very good start here, and I've got good traction out there, really good traction. I'm going to be right on the back of Sainz, but then we lose the car mid-corner, unfortunately. But I've got a very good run there on Sainz, which is worth noting for later on. You never know, that could be a potential overtaking opportunity. Well, let's see how long this rain is going to last. I'm going to ask on the radio.
Looks like the weather is going to dry up in about 5 minutes.
Right, so 5 minutes. It's going to be a pretty short intermediate stint. 130R is not very grippy, I have to say. Let's get the car slowed down here. We're definitely all over the place at the minute. The car feels good in some areas, but very unstable in others. But I think we should be okay. I think we've got pace to hold on to P6 here, and I definitely think we can maybe make a move on Sainz. I think we do have that kind of pace. But anyway, let's get our head down and let's settle into this race and let's see if we can make things happen. Oh, yellow flag. Something's happened behind. I think it's maybe Lewis. Oh no, it's Sainz. Right in front of us there, Carlos Sainz. He pulls over. Is he out or does he have a puncture? Looked like more of a mechanical failure to me, but Sainz there pulling off. That could be the end of his race. We go for 130R here. Let's get confirmation on that. But I think Sainz could be out. And yes, he is. He's out in the Renault confirmation. First retirement of the Grand Prix, and it's one of the Renaults, one of the heavy hitters. But that's promoted us into the top 5 in this race now. So decent progress. I'm exactly where I wanted to be. Personal best as well. Car's working good in these conditions. No complaints. We're currently just waiting for the dry conditions to arrive. But for now, we're looking good here. And I'm very happy with how the car's performing. Okay, DRS enabled. That's usually a sign that it's time for dries, but we've still had no tyre switch recommended in the MFD.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
As I say that, there you go. That's the call for dries from the engineer, but the track still looks a little bit wet to me. So I might hold off on that, I might wait a little bit. Right, we're going to pit in. The rain has stopped substantially even over this lap, so we're going to pit in. I think everyone's coming in, including teammates. Or is Lewis staying? I know, I think Lewis is going to be staying out. Let's get it all slowed down though, there we go. Onto the soft compound tyres. We're going to get held up here, I think. This could be bad. Come on, get me out, get me out. There we go. That's the problem with having the first pit box. But we've lost a little bit of time. We are going to jump Hulkenberg though. Look at that. Hulkenberg stuck in his pit box. We've jumped Hulkenberg. And also Ericsson as well there. We're going to get back in front of him as well. But it looks like everyone's going to the softs. And then everyone's going to go into the super softs. Is going to be my guess for the final stint. Too far to go on mediums. So best option is to just go for another 2 stops. We've got a Williams off here at turn 2, it seems, Sorokin. But now let's try and get used to the track conditions on these softs. We're going to have to tackle Sorokin though as well, who's going to be on those inters. Track's very, very delicate at the minute, so we need to be careful, give it the respect it needs, especially while the tyres are cold. Ericsson though very slow on these inters, you can see he's struggling. My guess is also he's got some form of damage on his front wing maybe. The track feels very, very slippy at the minute. This is where the AI are very strong, especially the likes of Hulkenberg behind. He should be fast. Down the inside of Sorokin. It's a bit of a risky one, but I've committed to it. I kind of barged my way through in fairness. Bit of a rash move, but luckily no front wing lost. And Sorokin gave me just enough room. So now we can pull away. Leclerc in front on super softs. We've seen before, Leclerc tends to go very aggressive when it comes to his tyre choices in races, especially Singapore springs to mind. So that could be worth noting for the rest of this race, unless he goes into mediums maybe in the final stint. And if Leclerc's on mediums in the final stint and we're on supers, that could really turn the race on its head. But either way, one step at a time. Right now, Sorokin's still in front of Hulkenberg, which is giving me the chance to pull away as Lewis comes in. Yellow flag. Alonso here, I think, through 130 yards, had a problem. There he is on the right-hand side. He's gone for a spin. Alonso going for a spin there. That's going to give us another position and one less car to overtake. So we're now back up to P7 here, remaining cars in the pit lane. So in theory, we should be P4 in this race. There is a Ferrari leaving the pit lane, but it's a little bit too far ahead. So it's going to be P4 for us. Raikkonen in front, he's on super soft. So it seems like those who have the faster car in the form of the Ferraris and Leclerc, they've gone for the more aggressive tyres on the super softs, whereas those who are not so fast have gone for the conservative soft tyres. So this could play out quite interestingly, this race, but still, we're onto the dry tyres now. Fuel-wise, you can see what we have. We don't have much to work with, so I kind of expected the rain to last a little bit longer in fairness. So that's kind of caught me out. But look at the gap behind, and we're looking pretty good here, especially because we're going to have Lewis Hamilton as a bit of a rear gunner to Hulkenberg, who's definitely faster. And Lewis being my championship rival, he needs to perform here. So right now things are looking good. It's only Leclerc is outscoring me at this moment in time, which is quite okay by my calculations. Raikkonen fastest lap 27.2. We do a 0.4 on soft tyres, so we're on the pace here. We're looking good. Definitely race pace looks a lot better than qualifying pace. We seem to be a lot more on the money. If we keep this pace up whilst on these tyres, yeah, the race might come to us in the second part once we go into the super soft. So let's keep this going, because you never know. It could be our race here. Seems like Lewis has got good pace behind as well in the other Mercedes. So it definitely seems like the Silver Arrow is working better on Sunday in race trim around this circuit. So I think both of us could be on a charge here. I've also just remembered Vettel as well. He's second in the championship now after he won at Russia. So he's in front of us. So he's also a factor in this race. Currently P2 as he's just been overtaken by Leclerc. So realistically, you know, things aren't over just yet. But we need to make sure we stay performing. Right now, based off of the gaps and where we are on track, we're looking okay here. So we keep this going, this pace, and the tyres hold on, then we should be looking good for when we go to the super softs. Another personal best there, 0.4 again. Raikkonen not really pulling away that much. Things are looking good. I've also looked at my tyres. I don't actually have a fresh set of supers left. They're used, so that's going to change things a little bit strategy-wise. I'll have to see what these tyres can do in terms of tyre life. But I'm going to have to go into another set of softs, I think. Tyre temperature's looking great on these tyres. Very, very happy with these. Dare I say, I might go into another set of these because they're just performing so well. But right now, I've got to say, I'm impressed. I really am. The car's definitely gone up a level compared to the last race, even though there's been no upgrades. Another personal best, 27.2. We actually took some time out of Raikkonen there, and we're currently faster than both of the Ferraris, so this race is coming to us slowly but surely. Definitely seems like the super sauce might be starting to wear off a little bit. We're really starting to gain now on Kimi. Gap's really coming down, even though that wasn't my best lap. We're looking good here. Right, we've got Leclerc in the pit lane. He's had enough of those super softs. I wonder what tyre he's going to go on. Looks like he's going to medium. So Leclerc going to the end on those tyres. Not a long way to go. It should be doable, but he's going to be a bit slow on those as we get on the grass a little bit there. That's going to cost me half a second or so in this first sector. Okay, Sebastian stays out. Kimi pits in. So this is a big lap for us. Nice bit of clean air. Let's push on here. I'm going to keep it in rich mix. I want to try and have a strong lap. Okay, Vettel pits in. Or not, he stays out. Okay, interesting. We set up a personal best at 20.0. I'm going to go for another lap here in this current fuel mixture as we hit our scheduled pit stop lap. I wonder if Sebastian is looking for the softs. Right, here we go then. We're going to come into the pit lane. We're going to just stick with our strategy, and also I'm guessing Vettel will come in this lap, so we're going to basically follow him into the pit lane. Get it all slowed down, there we go, decent stuff. Very good couple laps there, very good laps. He was on for a personal best once again there. There we go, 2.4 and away we go. Right then, so Eric's in the pit lane. Here comes Leclerc now onto the pit straight. He's in the mediums. Vettel's gone for the soft, so change of strategy from him. Very interesting. And now we're going to see where Raikkonen is, because that's obviously another big one in terms of who we're battling. Still can't see him though, Raikkonen. There he is, he's appearing down the pit straight. But I think we've done enough here. We've overcut Kimi on the softs. And we have done, there we go. We're in front of Raikkonen now, so good stuff. Those 2 extra laps made all the difference, doing the personal bests. And we've overcut Raikkonen, who's on the slower medium tyres. So yeah, all looking pretty good so far. And now we've got a VSC. Ooh, big one. And that's crucial because we've just done a pit stop. Wish we could have had that a little moment ago. But either way, it's going to give me a chance to save fuel in the ERS as Lance Stroll retires from the Grand Prix. Right then, that changes the complexity and just the overall, you know, this race, how it could pan out. Especially if Lewis comes in this lap. That could be big for the race. Lewis and Hulkenberg, if they pit in, that's massive. If the VSC stays out that long. Okay, Lewis pits in. The VSC is about to end here. Let's get up to speed. There we go. DRS enabled. VSC is in. But Lewis has come in and he's cashed in on that. That could be a game changer for the race. Just when I thought I was on for a podium, that VSC might have just snatched it from me. There's Lewis and Hulkenberg there exiting the pit lane now. Luckily, we are still in front, but our gap has been compromised substantially. Either way, we're P3 now. There you go, confirmation. We are behind Vettel and Leclerc, our 2 championship rivals. But considering the pace in qualifying and where we started this race, I think I'd take this, to be honest. I'd be very happy. And Lewis has also managed to undercut Raikkonen. Lewis has come out in front of Kimi on soft, so fair play. That's worked out for him, and that's worked out for us as a team as well, as that will give us more points and throw in the constructors. But for now, P3 is all I can see. Now we have to see what pace we have relative to Vettel. He was faster than Kimi in the last stint on a slower tyre. You know, look, Kimi was on the super, we was on the soft. So maybe we can do that again here. So let's find out. Let's pick up the pace and let's see if we can try and catch up to Sebastian Vettel. Vettel fastest lap 26.5. We do a 26.9. So we know what the reference is now. We can try and push a little bit harder. Vettel faster still 26.5, but I think we're going to smash that. 26.3. There we go. Decent pace in this Mercedes car. Really, really good pace. Lewis is pretty quick as well. It's definitely the silver arrows who are fastest around Suzuka at the minute. Goes to show we've still got something in us. But I need to try and find more time than that if I want to try and catch Sebastian, or he comes off the pace a bit. One or the other. Another purple lap. Small improvement into the 0.2s, but still faster than anybody else. Strong pace still. 2.5 behind Sebastian. Only a tenth off my fastest lap, so pace is still strong and consistent. That's the main thing. Keep this going, and we will catch up to Vettel in the Ferrari. My second trackest end of the race there, though. Got to be careful now. Getting loose as well. It's not going to help. It's going to cost me a couple of tenths. Got to stay focused here. Got a flag at 130R as well. Now at the final chicane. Seems like Raikkonen might be the problem here. Dropped 3 tenths in that first sector, which isn't too bad considering how scruffy it was. Let's keep our head down. Oh, we're still gaining that lap, even though it's just half a tenth, but we're still catching Sebastian here. Oof. Big wobble there, but we match our personal best. Gap down to a 1.8. I was using rich mix on that lap to try and really close up to Sebastian now. I think we are going to be able to have a go at him as long as he doesn't pick up the pace. If that's the best he's got, then we're going to have a chance, because I'm on the limit at the minute. I really am. Again, another strong lap there, 26.4. Gap down to 1.5. 3 laps to go. 1.5 now. The gap's staying the same. I think Sebastian might just pick up the pace a little bit and is responding to me. Right, last lap, gap 1.6. I think Vettel has picked up the pace, and we're not going to be able to match that, I don't think. Right, here we go then. To be fair, we've actually caught up to Leclerc quite a bit, and Vettel's pace has definitely picked up, but we're going to stay within the 3-second range in case Sebastian has any possible penalties. Into the chicane then. Leclerc's going to win at Japan, get himself back into the championship contention. Vettel's going to come home P2 as we get on the grass there a little bit, but we're going to come home for P3 and a podium finish, which I'm very happy with. I did not expect the podium in that race at all. The race pace was so strong, way better than qualifying, and overall a decent 15 points.
And Anthony Davidson, give me your thoughts. How did they accomplish this result?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
And now it's time to wind down and celebrate after that fantastic Grand Prix. Here they come, your top 3, out onto the podium.
Right, so looking at the final race results, Charles Leclerc wins the Japanese Grand Prix ahead of Sebastian Vettel and myself. Lewis Hamilton P4 and Nico Hülkenberg P5. Marcus Ericsson 6th ahead of Ricciardo, Gasly, Perez and Verstappen, who started from the back of the grid. Fair play to Max there. Decent recovery drive. But all in all, I think myself and Lewis, we would be the happiest coming away from that race. You know, starting from 8th and 6th respectively, finishing 3rd and 4th. A very good result. And the Mercedes working a lot better in race trim compared to qualifying. But in terms of what this is going to mean for the driver standings, let's have a look. Obviously, taking into account Raikkonen had those issues. As you can see, we lead by 47 points over Sebastian Vettel, so our lead does get cut down a little bit. Leclerc also gets himself inside 50 points, and he overtakes Lewis Hamilton in the process. Raikkonen drops back. He takes a massive step away due to the fact he doesn't score any points, and the top 4 in the championship finished top 4 in the race today. So Raikkonen now 30 points behind, you know, Hamilton, and you could argue it's turned from a top 5 into a top 4 battle now, and a 4-way scrap for the championship, as pretty much mathematically Raikkonen could be out of it. It's looking very close though. Second, third and fourth covered by 7 points. It's extremely close, and I'm holding on here, you know, with the car that isn't the fastest. But for sure the Ferrari and the Saubers are getting faster and faster. But with that being said, in terms of what that means for the Constructors, we are 77 points clear of Ferrari, and we extend our lead in the Constructors' Championship. And we're looking pretty good now to bring this one home, I think. If we just keep on plugging away at these results and bring these points home, we should be okay. But with that being said, we're now going to move into the laptop and start getting some upgrades on the car for next season.
You really cut your way through the field today. What was your strategy? You must be happy with the result today. Appreciate your time.
Right, so here we are on the R&D tree. Now we have 3,142 points to spend. I've been saving up those points over the last couple of races, and now we get to spend them. Now we are currently mid-table, the 5th best team, and it's kind of interesting because all we have left are ultimate upgrades and one major upgrade on the engine. Now the major one, unfortunately, is not that great. It's fuel consumption, which is basically not really that much related to performance. It's more just having better car performance in terms of less fuel consumption, so it's not going to make the car necessarily faster. Now we've got an ultimate upgrade there on the engine for the engine power for the intercooler. Then we've got 3 ultimate ones in the aerodynamics as well, as you can see here. And then we also have 2 ultimate chassis ones. Now I'm kind of looking at it all and I think to myself, right, okay, an ultimate upgrade is going to take 3 races to arrive, therefore it will arrive for Brazil. So we can have it for the last 2 races. So I have to spend the points accordingly. So what we will do is we're going to get one of these, and this will be our last upgrade of the season. Now the question is, where do I want to do it, and where do I want to put the money towards? Now the drag ones are a little bit more cheaper than the chassis ones, also in terms of the engine as well. The engine's looking pretty expensive, especially probably the most expensive part. So with that taken into account, I'm looking at the aero and I'm thinking to myself, right, I'm going to go for this drag reduction, redesign brake ducts. That's kind of a general upgrade, not really for the front or for the rear. So I'm probably going to go for that and get that on the car. That should arrive for Brazil. And we have 1,400 points left. Now what we could do is spend that on another upgrade, but this is the part where I'm going to start saving upgrades now for the Mercedes team next season. So we're going to start protecting the team against upgrades. So we're going to kick things off, and I reckon we're going to do 2 in each department, I think, to start things off. So we're going to go 2 there, then we're going to go for 2 in the chassis as well. Start that off, get the ball rolling. And then we have another 237 points. So can we get one more? Yes, we can on the aero. So there we go. We're going to start protecting the car a little bit now for next season. And yeah, we're going to once again try and save up another flurry of points. And maybe for after Brazil, we'll probably have another R&D point spend. So yeah, pretty much, guys, that's going to wrap things up for this episode of Career Mode. If you did enjoy it, then please do drop a like on the video. Also, do get subscribed for daily Formula 1 content and turn on notifications to not miss a single upload from me. Finally, check out these 2 videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.